everybody. Thanks for joining us on the Extra Point Show this week. Another great episode.
Yep, how's it going, everybody? Thanks for joining us again. My background's a bit different this time. I got a new laptop, actually, and I have it set up at this place at the moment, so this is the background for the moment. But
Absolutely. That's what we're going with this time. And before we get started, make sure that if you're not already, to like and subscribe and follow us on all the social media platforms, and subscribe to us here on YouTube so you can get weekly content. And first thing to get into this week, I guess unless you wanted to briefly touch on a non-football related thing, to the probably the biggest news of the week has to be the smack heard around the world.
Oh, that's true. I didn't know you were going to mention that, but you are right, actually.
That's got to be the biggest news. And I mean, we wouldn't.
Yeah, unrelated to football, but Jesus Christ, what a fantastic night that was.
Football's a contact sport, and there was some pop. There was some.
Yeah,
pop
there's a whole lot of dumbass arguments you can have on either side of that whole thing, but we can at least all agree it was entertaining.
It was the best Oscars. Like, I think Chris Rock summed it up best. But he's like,
greatest moment in television history.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, yeah. So I think like I told you, I think I texted you. I was like, man, if this is what we can expect now, if this is the precedent that's been set, then I'm gonna start watching the Oscars every year. And I still have to fire it up after we film this, so I still need.
Yeah, I actually did sit and watch not all of it, because a lot of it's kind of boring, and you fast forward to the parts where the actors and stuff and the movies you actually know. But yeah, that was definitely quite a highlight. I mean, yeah, it's a big touchy situation. Everyone's on one side of it. It's like, you know what? Let's just agree it was entertaining to watch. That's all that matters.
I think we all as America can agree to that.
Yeah.
If nothing else. But
other than that, we have some pretty big football news.
Yep.
Tyreek Hill, a player, the wide receiver for the Chiefs, obviously, is definitely a player I never thought would be considered to be traded from an organization like that. He seems like, one of their top offensive weapons.
Right.
But apparently, they've traded him to the Dolphins for 5 draft picks.
Yeah. And what's crazy is this offseason, I know every offseason, like last year we had the Matty Stafford trade and things like that. But this is the third consecutive week that we've had a big one like this. And yeah, like you said, 5 picks, which was also the Hall in the Russell Wilson trade. It was 5 picks and 3 players. And then Deshaun got 5 picks. So it's the season of 5, it seems.
It's quite a different 5 picks than what the quarterbacks
right.
got.
Yeah. There weren't multiple first rounds. There was one first round pick, the 29th overall.
But it's also a 29th, so it's kind of like it's a first, but
it's a late round first. You could get some good depth. A team like the Chiefs is so solid anyway. You'd assume that they'd go wide receiver after the losses. They did go ahead and add Juju Smith-Schuster and Marquez Valdez-Scantling from the Packers as a kind of a corresponding move, but you're not going to replace the production that Tyreek Hill had for you.
It's a weird move in my opinion for them to move on from him. It's like one of those players that it never seems to make, unless he's like the cost would have been so ridiculously high that they're like, well, if we can trade him and get 5 draft picks, then why not? But I don't know, man. It's like a player like that. Those are, generational talents in a way. Like, no one really is quite like Tyreek Hill. There's other people similar, but.
Right. From what I understand and what reports are from Andy Reid, I guess they were trying to get him a long-term extension. And Tyreek, obviously, he signed for right around $25 million a year. So right around that Devontae Adams money.
Wow. Yeah. $25 million a year?
Yep. So
1 year for 1 year.
Yeah. Let me give you the details here.
Damn. So, that's like quarterback money.
Yeah, he's as we discussed on the show earlier, Devontae Adams got the record for most, because I think he's like topping out at, I want to say like maybe 28. Let me look up what Tyreek's is.
I don't know why this seems to be news to me. I didn't realize that. They were getting paid that much per year somehow.
Well, not a lot of so basically.
But to hear Jimmy makes like $28 million or did last season.
Yeah. So Hill's contract guarantees $53.4 million guaranteed at signing, plus another $19.6 million guaranteed as of March 23rd. So yeah, it's $73 million over 3 years. over 3 years. So yeah, right around like
Wow.
25 a season. So a little less than Devontae Adams, but he definitely. Obviously, the Chiefs weren't going to give him that as top receiver money. They've already got Patrick Mahomes tied up.
Yeah,
They
that's
can't
true.
be paying him that money.
That does explain the move a little bit more.
Yeah.
They already have their money
Yeah.
tied up in other key
Yeah.
players, where if they have to move on from somebody, I guess a top wide receiver, if you got to pick a top player, I guess would be the first to go.
Well, you know that now this is going to mean that Travis Kelce, who's already drawing so many targets in Kansas City, is going to get even more. Yeah, I mean, that man's going to be possibly the busiest. He might lead the NFL in receptions next year because that might be all Mahomes has. I mean, I really do expect them because the Chiefs.
Well, like you said, they did pick up the other two people to make up Juju Smith and Valdez-Scantling.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I mean, with having that, and they're going to have weapons there. Maybe not as good as Tyreek was, but I imagine. I mean, you can't just keep throwing to the tight end. If the Chiefs start doing that, then they're going to get shut down pretty quick, I imagine.
Well, so that's what you do in Madden.
Well, hey, that's what I did do in Madden. I mean, I've grown a bit from that strategy, but you know what? If it works, why change it?
Just keep riding it. Just keep riding the
tight end attack, tight end attack, tight end attack, tight end attack, tight end attack. No, I don't do that shit anymore. But
he doesn't. I'm just fucking around. He did though at one time.
I did though. You are correct. I did.
Yeah, and but yeah, so I don't think we said what else the Chiefs got because. Yeah, so the Chiefs have the 29th and 30th picks in the first round, so back-to-back picks. I imagine they'll spend one at least on probably a receiver. Also, in the exchange for Tyreek Hill from the Dolphins, they got a second-rounder, a fourth-rounder, both of those coming in this upcoming draft, another fourth-rounder, and then then one more fourth-rounder in 2023 and a sixth-rounder in 2023. So the Chiefs are pretty loaded up. I mean, they lost Tyreek Hill, but they're going to be able to replenish pretty well in the draft. And as far as the Dolphins go, they didn't stop there with their free agency haul. They're definitely. I mean, Mike McDaniel's team looking pretty good there in Miami, because they also picked up number one ranked free agent Teron Armstead from the New Orleans Saints. He signed a 5-year, $75 million deal with the Miami Dolphins. The deal can reach up to $87.5 million with incentives. He was basically this year's Trent Williams. Obviously, Trent, the number one rated free agent last year. Trent Williams not available in free agency this year. So Teron Armstead leaving the Saints and going down to the warm Miami coast. And, he's going to enjoy that bright sunshine and, potentially $75 million there. And Armstead's a pretty good player when he's been healthy, but he's definitely been banged up a little bit over the last 6 seasons. In fact, he missed 9 games last season, and over the last 6 seasons, he's missed at least 6 games in 4 of them. So when he's on the field, he's good. When he's not on the field, he's obviously, not so good to his team. Yeah, exactly.
As really anybody would be, literally any human being on the planet.
It's like they say in the NFL, availability is your best ability, and that's pretty much true.
Players that are there every game, even if their production, isn't necessarily that great. The fact that they're as long as their production is at least decent. The fact that they're there every game of the season speaks volumes for a player, especially when it comes to their trade value or other teams looking at them. When another team sees a player is banged up repeatedly, it makes it extremely difficult to probably want to make an offer for that and take that risk. Right. And a player that's always healthy, maybe he's not the best, not the most flashy, but hey, shit, he's there every game.
Yeah, exactly, and it does go a long way. I mean, that dependability is a big factor. So I mean that's 2 huge players that the Dolphins got right there. I mean, you got to figure Tua's loaded up there. I mean, if Tua can't have a good season in Miami now with Mike McDaniel,
then Tua's done as a starter in the league.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, like this is
most
really
likely.
this is really Tua's opportunity to show, because he's had some inconsistent play. He's done some good things. He's done some not so good things. But I mean, you got him a new left tackle. He already had Jalen Waddle. You franchise Mike Gesicki to bring back his tight end. And you know what Mike McDaniel's offense can do with a tight end, what we did with George Kittle. So, I mean, I expect him to have an even better season. And then
you have to see how it goes within Miami, but yeah, it's a good point.
I mean,
Potentially.
so they've got two insane receivers, and then
And
a new left
Mike
tackle.
Gesicki isn't George Kittle.
No, I know, but he is a good playmaker. He's a good player, and he really came on strong for Miami last year. I'm not saying he's George Kittle because he's definitely not, but I mean, yeah, I mean we got to see what this means for Tua, because obviously that should pay some immediate dividends for him, and it'll be interesting to see whether they end up playing Armstead at his natural position of left tackle, or if they end up moving him over to the right side to protect Tua's, because Tua's a left-handed quarterback, so obviously his right side is his blind side. So it's like, do you put your best offensive lineman in his natural position, or do you put him out of position, but in the position to where he can block Tua from taking any backside shots? Because the blindside shots are usually the most devastating to a quarterback.
I think that depends on his ability to play the other position. If he can play the other position just fine, then I would say absolutely. But if he really only shines on that one side, then he should stick to that side.
I will mention Armstead is a 3-time Pro Bowler as well, so definitely a pretty solid player that Miami's getting. So yeah, we'll have to see. I'm pretty excited to see what Miami does. I mean, I hated losing McDaniel, but I mean they are in line to have a pretty exciting season. But we'll have to see if Tua can get these guys the ball on the deep shots. That's going to be the real telling thing. And let's see what else we got on here. Oh yeah, so we kind of touched on this a little bit last week, but it was more something that broke the day we posted the last show. Yeah, so the Falcons traded Matt Ryan to the Colts in exchange for a 3rd-round pick, which is number 82 overall. Matt Ryan, of course, the former 3rd overall pick of the Falcons in 2008. He had spent his entire 14-year career to that point with the Falcons, and in 14 of those seasons, he got them into the playoffs, 6 of them, one time as far as the Super Bowl when Kyle Shanahan was his offensive coordinator, and former 2016 MVP. Go into the Colts to replace Carson Wentz.
Yeah, this move in particular strikes with me because like the Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan kind of like they're both similar-ish in a way in types of like the things they've done, and in the past they were good, and like lately not so much. So, and I've seen other Washington fans say, "Oh my God, we could have gotten Matt Ryan for just a 3rd-round pick. Why didn't we just get Matt Ryan?" It's like, well, I mean, Carson Wentz's stats are definitely a little bit better than Matt Ryan's. Yeah, I think at least.
Yeah, so Matt Ryan has played a long time, so obviously, like,
he's also older.
It depends on what seasons we're looking at Matt Ryan. So okay, so Matt Ryan, MVP Matt Ryan in 2016, threw for 4,900 yards, 38 touchdowns and 7 picks. But Kyle Shanahan was his OC, so I mean, he had his best season ever. And then,
but how has Matt Ryan looked the last couple years, last 2-3 years? Because that's more what I'm probably thinking of.
Okay, well in 2018 he actually threw 35 touchdowns and 7 picks, and Kyle was in San Francisco then. So then he had 26 touchdowns, 14 picks in 2019. 2020, 26 touchdowns, 11 picks, and then last year 20 touchdowns, 12 picks. But I will say this in Matt Ryan's defense last year, they had outside of Kyle Pitts, they had nobody. After Calvin Ridley went on his little sabbatical and got suspended for gambling, he had like nobody to throw the ball to. So
I guess I'm having last year's Falcons in my head, and I'm thinking how he looked then. 20-12 isn't very good, but I guess you're right. In the past,
and they also did
better
finish
seasons.
They also did finish 7-10, which is the same record Washington had. So
right.
Yeah, but so I would say this. I think that because Jim Irsay, the Colts owner, has come out and he's been like, "Oh, thank God we got Matt Ryan." He's all excited, but I think that, like I told you, I think that he was just a little bit, premature in fucking shit.
Because he lost to Jacksonville.
Yeah, exactly. Because he lost one game, which, I mean, Jacksonville's got their number in that building. I mean, the Colts have had 5 different starting quarterbacks, which we'll mention that. Frank Reich's been the coach 5 seasons in Jacksonville, and he's had 5 different starting quarterbacks those 5 years.
That's terrible. That must be just awful to be a coach and to have that be your situation. Ugh.
So you've had Jacoby Brissett. You've had Phillip Rivers, because they brought in Phillip Rivers. You've had Carson Wentz. Matt Ryan's going to be the fifth, and then I'm trying to think of who the fourth one was. It wasn't.
I could just throw out a guess, but I don't think I'm right. I was going to say like Andrew Luck, but I think I've just
Andrew
seen.
Luck retired right. I think Andrew Luck retired right before he started. So I'm trying to.
Oh, okay, that might be all right. But that's the only other one I could think of, which I knew wasn't right, but.
No, it was some other backup because they got Jacoby Brissett later that year, so it wasn't. But Andrew Luck retired.
Probably some no name you're not going to think of.
Yeah,
a Blaine Gabbert of sorts.
Oh, I know Blaine Gabbert all too well. Unfortunately, I've seen Blaine Gabbert play more than I'd like. But yeah, so anyway, I think that in terms of like who's more likely to make a boneheaded mistake, I think that's kind of the knock on Wentz sometimes is like he throws like a Jimmy-type pick at an inopportune time. And I think Matt Ryan's less likely to do that. But the man's been in the league for about 150 fucking years. It's like, of course he shouldn't make those mistakes.
I think it depends on the kind of player.
On your field,
Kirk Cousins has been in the league for a long time, and he still takes checkdowns all day.
Yeah.
I think it just depends on the style that the quarterback likes to lean towards. You got quarterbacks like Alex Smith, Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
They have no problem taking those checkdowns, and then you got people like Carson Wentz and Ryan Fitzpatrick, who don't really mind chucking it deep, even though that can bite you in the ass.
That's called the gunslinger. I love a gunslinger sometimes.
And all of them have their positives and negatives, and like it's really hard to be like, this is what this team needs. It's like, really, you don't really know until it works. So.
That's true. But yeah, we'll have to see. Obviously Matt Ryan's going to a team that's ready to win now in the Colts. The Colts are a loaded team. They've got, leading rusher last year, Jonathan Taylor in the backfield. They've got DeForest Buckner on the defensive line. That team's ready to go. They get a couple of good receivers, and he could be in good position. The Colts were one game last year from being in the playoffs, so definitely a team that's ready to win now. And the Falcons didn't wait long to make a corresponding move as they would sign a former Tennessee Titan and most recently Las Vegas Raider Marcus Mariota.
Marcos.
Marcos, yeah. I don't know why. Yeah, so they signed Marcus Mariota to a 2-year deal worth up to $18.75 million. So it's effectively a 1-year deal with basically a $12 million option for the second year if they end up deciding to pick that up. More than likely, what that'll end up meaning is that the Titans or Falcons are going to end up drafting a quarterback, which, now that they... even if they would have kept Matt Ryan, I probably would have seen them drafting a quarterback in the upcoming draft, and I really don't see anything being any different. They do have the 8th overall pick in this year's upcoming draft in about a month's time.
Yeah, they're probably trying to just hold over some time until next year's draft because, at least given the talk about this year's quarterback draft class, it doesn't really look particularly spectacular. So they're probably trying to find something to bridge the gap until next year, where hopefully there's some more promising candidates.
That's what I was going to say. They're probably going to bring in Mariota as a bridge guy for a year because Mariota's a former starter with the Titans. He started a number of games in the NFL. He's done some good things. He had a 26 touchdown pass season one year. He's definitely known for what he can do on as a dual threat because he's mobile with his legs. So that'll be interesting. You figure he'll probably be the opening day starter, and depending on how good their rookie looks, maybe he gets brought along after the bye week or next year. And
so you think they're going to take a rookie quarterback at 8 this season?
I'm looking like. So
I guess somebody has to. Some teams are obviously going to take the quarterbacks that are there.
I think it's going to be I think it's going to be Kenny Pickett. From everything I've been hearing, it sounds like Kenny Pickett is the most play ready or most ready in-game ready quarterback that they have in this year's draft of any of them.
Okay.
If you had to start one guy opening day, it sounds like Kenny Pickett's the guy. More than Corral, more than Desmond Ridder, more than
Malik Willis.
Willis, yeah, exactly. More than any of those guys, it seems like Kenny Pickett might be that guy that's ready to go.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what they do. But we'll see what Mariota gets another shot in the league as a starter.
Yeah, I always think when I hear his name, I always think of a backup. Like at least I guess nowadays it just Marcus Mariota. All right, well another backup quarterback we could possibly get. It's never he's not like an. Sorry,
yeah, No, I was just gonna say he just backed up Derek Carr for the last 2 years. So I mean that makes sense to.
That's probably why I think that. Then yeah, I don't even remember now, honestly.
Oh shit. Well, that's all we pretty much have on Marcus Mariota. There was also another quarterback move, and actually, since this happened, the Saints have signed 2 quarterbacks now. They went from having pretty much only Taysom Hill on their roster to now having Jameis Winston. They brought him back on a 2-year, $28 million deal with $21 million guaranteed, so essentially $14 million a season. So right in between starter and backup money. It's like low-grade starter money. So obviously it seems like Jameis will be the starter. And Jameis was playing good football last year before he tore his ACL, if you remember. I mean, I think he had the Saints out to a 5-1, 5-2 start, I believe it was.
Yeah, they started out great.
5-2, yeah, 5-2.
Yeah, 5-2.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, through seven games, I mean, he was limiting the turnovers. He had 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Almost 1,200 yards passing, and then he got lost in the Week 8 game to an ACL tear. But they expect him to be ready for the start of next season. So.
Yep, that'll be interesting to see. The Saints now is a lot more interesting to watch without Drew Brees being the quarterback every goddamn year. It's like, all right, now I'm kind of interested to see how things are going to go for them. I don't know. Like same with the Packers with Aaron Rodgers. Like I like to watch Aaron play, obviously, but like I don't know. It just at some point it just loses its like excitement. You're like,
Aaron's gonna be there forever.
Aaron for the fucking 100th year, Jesus! Like
Aaron's gonna be there forever. So like they made another move as well because it's like, all right, so who are they gonna have as Jameis's backup for the upcoming season? Is it gonna be Taysom Hill? Well, it's not. They actually signed somebody, and somebody that he just keeps taking money from the NFL. Andy Dalton signing a 1-year, $3 million deal. The Red Rocket of Texas Christian University.
I'm sorry, did you say 1 million, 3 or 1 year, $3 million?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah. Andy Dalton but he's getting $3 million more than.
I mean, shit, I would take $3 million any day, but for a quarterback in the NFL, that's just like, I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick got $10 million.
Yeah.
Like,
Ryan Fitzpatrick got
fucking Taylor Heineke got like $2.5 million or some shit, or was that for 2 years? I don't know.
Yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick got $10 million to fall down a water slide with his kids.
Yep, yes he did. That must be nice. It must be nice to be Ryan Fitzpatrick, just rolling that dough.
His beard game's on point though.
I was so ready for him, and then he just fucked us completely. Yeah. Like, you know what, Ryan, fuck you, bro.
Yeah. Oh man, rough. Yeah, so Andy's going to be the backup. And then it's like, what does this mean for Taysom Hill? Well, Dennis Allen, who is now the Saints' new head coach, now that Sean Payton's gone, it seems that the Taysom Hill experiment at quarterback is over. As Dennis Allen has announced that Taysom Hill will focus on tight end. They're trying to turn him into the next Logan Thomas.
Yeah, well, honestly, that's the right move because he should not be a starting quarterback. I've always loved watching Taysom Hill play and the specialty plays he does. Very entertaining.
He's an athlete. Yeah. He's an athlete.
But yeah, that last season with him starting was just terrible. So they're going in the right direction there, I think.
I'm thinking if I had to guess, I'm thinking it's going to be somewhere. He's going to do better than Tebow, but less than Logan Thomas. Like not as good as Logan, but better than Tebow. So he's going to be like kind of in the middle. Because Taysom Hill is an athletic player, but I just think he's a little bit under. I mean, he's going to have to put on some weight to play tight end in the National Football League.
Well, he probably lost some weight to play quarterback, so I mean, he'd probably have to.
He's probably going to have to put on some more.
Take the opposite approach. Instead of being leaner, he's going to bulk up a bit more.
Hit the weights, Taysom. Hit the weights.
I think he could do fine, given the way various types of plays he's incorporated in. I think that he could potentially be good at it. Just have to wait and see, I guess. But
yeah. I mean, we definitely will, And one other thing that we just wanted to mention. This is kind of just broken recently. So The NFL has made a rule change after the annual league meeting. It was announced that for the postseason only, they're going to trial it, but both teams in overtime will get a possession in the overtime period. This, of course, coming after the Chiefs-Bills game, where Josh Allen famously never got to possess the ball, and the Chiefs went right down and scored. Obviously, the Bills were the ones that kind of cried to the NFL about getting that changed. And the vote was it was voted in the favor of 29-3 to change it. So, as I mentioned, only going to apply it to the postseason, where the advantage has statistically been more skewed towards the team winning the overtime toss. They've won. They're 10-2 in the last 12 matchups since 2000.
Yeah, this seems like a completely reasonable rule change that really should have been there to begin with. Especially if it was in the regular season, I'd be fine with that also. I mean, it doesn't really matter if it's postseason or regular season, but at the very least, for it to be in the playoffs, where it really comes down to, if you don't win, you're done.
Right.
It should at least be there. So that's nice to see.
Yeah, I like the rule. I mean, I'm interested to see because you have to acknowledge that Chiefs-Bills game was the football game of the season. I mean, it was just insane. This back and forth offense. I think both guys had 4. I mean, I know we covered it on the show. Both guys had like 4 touchdowns. They both ran for like 70 yards, threw for like over 400 apiece. It was like that is by far the most impressive head-to-head quarterback matchup that I've ever seen in a game. And it wasn't just the quarterbacks. Gabriel Davis, that unheard-of receiver, went off for like 3 touchdown catches. There were Kelsey had a great game. Tyreek Hill, in what proved to be one of his last games in a Chiefs uniform, went off.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm for it too. I like it. We'll have to see if any of the upcoming games go to overtime, and if it ends up coming into effect. But I'm with you. I'd not mind seeing it in the regular season either, because I hate losing a game in overtime when you never get the ball. Like, I'm fine.
Yeah, that just doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and as a fan watching my team, I always love like when you beat a team in overtime, and like it's like, okay, if they don't get the possession, because I'm always nervous if they win the possession. But if both teams get a shot, you're always going to feel like you have a chance, unless your offense is piss poor. And I mean, your offense did enough to get you in overtime. Can't be that bad. And I'm just going to put these up on the screen real briefly and just roll through these. These are just other notable free agents throughout the season. Former Dallas Cowboys right tackle La'el Collins signing with the Cincinnati Bengals. The Joey Burrow reclamation project officially underway, signing a 3-year, $30 million deal to be the crown jewel of that new rebuilt Cincinnati O-line. We talked about Cincinnati obviously investing heavy in that offensive line because Joe Burrow got sacked 72 times last year, so they had to do something to keep him alive. Obviously, Joe Shiesty's the future of Cincinnati forever, so you gotta. And interesting about that, Cincinnati had 4 games last year where Joe Burrow got sacked 4 or more times, and La'el Collins has given up 4 sacks over the past 2 seasons combined.
Damn.
Yeah, so.
Good pickup for them.
He texted Joey Burrow after he signed the deal, and he's like, your bodyguard's in town. And always good to get him away from the boys. Always good to get him away from the boys.
Hell yeah.
All right. Also, former Packer pass rusher after he had originally agreed to sign with the Ravens in the offseason of backing out of your contract. He backed out of the Ravens contract and agreed to go to the Packers' rival, the Minnesota Vikings, on a 3-year, $42 million deal. So he's going to go play ball with Kirk Cousins under new coach Kevin O'Connell there. And he was limited to only 1 regular season game last year, and of course the playoff game against the Niners. He returned for the playoff game, sacked Jimmy once, but when he is available in 2020, he had 12.5 sacks, and in 2019 he had 13.5 sacks. So good player that the Vikings are getting. Buccaneers, after having him visit with the New England Patriots, get playoff Lenny Leonard Fournette back on a 3-year, $21 million deal. So obviously big coup for them. He had 812 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns last year, and also caught a career high 69 passes and 2 receiving touchdowns. So, Buccaneers happy to get him. A couple more worth mentioning. Right tackle Trent Brown, former 49er, agreeing to return to the Patriots on a 2-year, $13 million deal with $4 million guaranteed. He can make up to $22 million based on incentives, mainly if he stays healthy, because he's been banged up a little bit. He was limited to 9 games last year, but I mean, this guy's like 6'8", 350 pounds. So when he's in there, great for Mac Jones. You know, it's definitely going to help keep him safe. So he ended up getting traded there from the Raiders a couple seasons back. Also, Patriots got a former Super Bowl hero, Malcolm Butler, after spending 2020 out of football. He returns to the Patriots on a 2-year deal, upwards of $9 million for 2 years. So
really, I didn't know about that one.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so
that's crazy.
So playoff hero Malcolm Butler is back where it all started. So Bill's got,
Patriots fans have to be happy about that. I mean, if I was a Patriots fan, I know I would be. So
yeah. So Malcolm Butler
cool.
last played for Tennessee in 2019. He had a pretty good year. Like I said, he sat last year out. But yeah, I mean, he's going to be looking to get back in obviously a system that he knows very well. And last signing of the week that I wanted to bring up, Packers getting Robert Tonyan back, their star tight end. Obviously, they lost Devontae Adams, so they had to at least get somebody.
Well, they definitely need that tight end then.
And
Shit.
They lost, as we discussed, MVS to the Chiefs, too. So.
Oh, that's true. So that's fucking jeez,
so,
man. Packers are gonna have I'm predicting the Packers are not gonna have. They're not gonna be in the NFC Championship next year. That's for sure.
that could be the case. I mean, do they still have? I think they might have Randall Cobb under contract, but he is by far their most experienced receiver, if that's the case. Other than that, it's Alan Lazard, and really just a couple of other unheard of guys. Not too many.
I'm gonna look right now and see if they still have Randall Cobb. Brought back at the urging of Aaron Rodgers, Randall Cobb scored. Oh, this is 2021.
Yeah.
Hold on. Oh, he says accepted a pay cut to stay.
Oh, okay. Oh, good.
So it sounds like he will be back. So that's good for them.
I like how like Aaron didn't take a pay cut, but like his best friend Randall Cobb like had to take a pay cut to stay. It's like, Randall, buddy, I really want you on the team, but I'm gonna need you to make a little bit less money.
Oh, this has to do with 2021, I
Okay.
think. I think because it says will they bring him back in 22. So we actually don't know yet. But apparently he took a lesser contract
TBD.
prior. Yeah, so I guess
not
we'll
play
see
for
how
the
that
Texans
goes.
anymore. I'd take less money to not play for Houston too, if I could get out of there.
Yeah.
That place is a fucking dumpster fire. I like Lovie Smith as a coach, but I mean, the man has his work cut out for him.
Yeah, man, he has a rough. Yeah, good luck to you, bud.
David Culley got fired after one season for really just doing the same record as Bill O'Brien had the previous year with Deshaun Watson. It's like you go 4-12 with Deshaun Watson, you get fired. Then you go in 4-13 without Deshaun Watson, just plugging the gaps with Davis Mills and Tyrod Taylor, and you still get fired.
Yeah, I think he should have at least gotten another year. Damn.
You would think. You would think.
All right, what's up, guys? So we had an idea for a little bit of a different segment here. David here is just a goddamn encyclopedia of the NFL and has just diverse knowledge of the most random shit. So most of the time when I type in a question or not type in, but I'm going to be typing in something to see the results because I don't fucking know. But the chances are he knows. So, like, as an example, like, I'm just going to think of something, the most random thing I can think of. Like, Colts running backs in 2009.
I feel like I got to put my hands up just so nobody thinks.
Oh, he's not. He has no idea what's going on. This is completely, I'm just coming up with this randomly. And, I guess that shows you can't look on your computer. But, so Colts running backs in 2009.
Okay, so 2009 would have been they would have had 2009 would have been the year that they went to the Super Bowl with Pat McAfee. So they would have had, who was their running back then? Adrian James. Was Adrian James on the team in 2009?
I don't think so. Their starter is not. That is not their current starter, or current. I'm sorry, 2009. I can hold on. Let me find a better list here because
Oh no, Edger and James went to the Cardinals before that. So okay.
okay.
Let's see. 2009 would have been. So Peyton Manning was still the quarterback then. So
Was he?
yeah, yeah, he was because he didn't leave for Denver until like 2013.
I think I picked a good one this time. Like just random.
mm, no, not. Well, this is not a good start. Usually,
No, this is not a good start. Usually
no,
you get all of them. Like
but that shows it's a legit segment though, because like obviously, all right, no, who was their starter? I'm curious. I'm probably gonna feel
Joseph
real dumb.
Adai.
I was thinking, Jay Ajayi, but I was like, but that would have been obviously a different player, but I would have been okay. Yeah.
They had it says Donald Brown also.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Adrian James did come up, but I don't think it was.
Well, he was the starter, but he went to Arizona before
But
that.
still, very close. So you got a running back around the same era. Like, I mean, that's still damn close. Like, all right, let me come up with another one here.
I know Joseph Adai too. I had kind of
all right.
not thought about
How
it.
about the Cardinals starting quarterback in 2012?
2012 for the Cardinals, Carson Palmer.
That's not what it says here, but.
Oh wait. Oh, 2012. Could have been Kevin Kolb.
He was on the
Kolb.
Team. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, he was on the team, but that's not what it says as the start. But good enough though. Good enough. It says John Skelton, but.
Oh, Johnny Skelton. Johnny Skelton was the starter. They were giving him starts.
I think that's what it says. He's the
I don't
highlighted one. I
think
typed in starting quarterback, so.
He wasn't the starter. It was. I mean, they did have. Well, was that the really bad year? What was their record that year? That'll tell me who their quarterback was.
Let's see.
2012. We were really good in 2012. That was when we first.
They were 5-11.
Yeah. So probably. So Kevin Kolb wasn't starting. John Skelton was starting.
Yeah.
John Skelton probably got some of the starts.
Yeah. Well, there's like four different ones, and you got so yeah, you got the right answer basically. And then the first one you said was 2013's. What?
Was Josh McNown on that team?
I don't know. I'd have to look.
Oh, okay.
In 2012?
Yeah.
He was on the Bears in 2012.
Okay.
And then the Bucks in 14. So Bears, Bucks.
He started his career with Arizona. That son of a bitch.
Ah.
So he played for like every team. Josh McCown played like 20 years in the NFL.
All right, let's see if you can get. Let's see if I can come up with something else here.
All right.
I mean, obviously I can just pick any position of any team, but all right, let's say. I don't know. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank now. Fuck.
It's all good.
Trying to come up with something like more like interesting, but. All right, I got one.
Okay.
Who are? What the fuck? That's not what I expected.
Oh. Well, all right.
I was looking up like the top running backs of the decade, but
okay.
Yeah, okay, this works. All right, this article's correct. All right, the first one I looked at had some fucking. I don't know if that was some. All right, so if you had to name the top. All right, 5 of the top 10 running backs of the last decade, what names would you say?
So are we talking about the past decade, like 2010 to 2020?
Yes,
like
2010 to 2020. Yes, we're gonna go 2010 2020. That makes that makes sense.
So obviously, like you gotta say Chris Johnson for the Titans. He's on
okay, well he's not even on this list, but
he had a 2,000-yard season. Adrian Peterson.
Adrian Peterson is number 1 on the list, so.
Yeah, as he should be.
As he
Frank
should
Gore.
Be. Yep, he's number 3.
As he should be. 2010. We've also got to say, I mean, if you're not talking about the King Henry, I mean, he's got to be on there, even though like he's not got as much longevity.
Yeah, I don't know. This article is odd because he's not on there either.
Maybe
Also,
they're just.
this is more of like an opinion-based thing in a way too, as well. I guess this isn't necessarily like a trivia question, but.
Oh, okay. Well, either way. But Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, him being number one, that makes good. But I mean, nowadays Derrick Henry would probably be. I would think people would think him as more.
Or Jonathan Taylor, but he hasn't been in the league long enough to be on that list. I know that.
All right, so one more random one, just for shits and giggles. Who was the 2013 Seattle Seahawks starting right guard?
2013. Okay. So hold on. So that's when we played them in the NFC Championship game. So hold on. Let me think. You said right guard or right tackle?
Right guard.
Okay.
I mean, shit, if you can get the right tackle right, I'll give that also. I'd have to look what that is, but...
Was it...
Actually, yeah, right guard or right tackle will be acceptable answers. I don't care which one you get. Either one are acceptable answers.
Mike, was it... No, no, it wasn't. Fuck. I know, like, one of their great guards was Steve Hutchinson, but I know he was gone by 2013.
Yeah, he's not. He wasn't.
He was not. He was not on that Super Bowl team. That's when they ended up going to beat Denver in the Super Bowl. Who the fuck was on that team? It was. I don't know why I want to say Mike Upati, but I don't think it was him. It wasn't him, was it? No.
No.
Okay. I don't know.
It was J.R. Sweezy.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was probably going to guess that. J.R. Sweezy. J.R. Sleazy.
Yeah, I mean, I was just trying to think of something like, because those kind of players are generally the hardest to remember. But I figured it being a Seattle player, like you might remember it because you play them a lot. But
yeah, I mean, I remember. Now I got to look up on my. I'm just curious. When the fuck did Steve Hutchinson play? Let's see, Steve Hutchinson.
Yeah, that I don't know.
I'm gonna find out, boy. That's why I got the website.
Yeah, it's like without Google,
2001. Damn it, 2001 to 2012. Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, you were so close. See, all right, so that shows like
Jesus.
You pretty much you're so close. Like
I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I like 2013. I was like, oh, it's not Steve Hutchinson, is it?
Damn. Well, that still goes to show like your amount of knowledge. Like, okay, you couldn't get and like I mean, my idea with making this was like to give you the hardest, most bullshit questions possible. Like,
hit me with
name this random position from this team in this year.
Hit me with a kicker one. My knowledge of kickers.
All right, let me
is vast.
think. All right, well, what year and what year in range? And,
it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even
doesn't
matter.
matter. All right, all right. Let me pick a team. Let me pick a team. All right, Chiefs kicker in 1995. How about that?
Okay. That would have been 95. They had.
It's like both of us were like under 10 in this time, but so if you get this, I'd be shocked.
So in 2000 they had Todd Peterson. Who'd they have in 95?
I mean, he missed 3 crucial field goals, allowing the Indianapolis Colts to win 10-7 in the AFC divisional round.
Can't do that.
No, you can't do that.
Fuck, who was there? Wow. 95. I don't think I was even watching football in 95.
Yeah, that's why I kind of went like probably too far back, you know, like because we were both like you were like 8, I was probably like 6, so
I feel like I started watching in like 97 to 98 football. So, but
okay, so who was the Chiefs kicker in 99?
Was it not Todd Peterson?
No.
Oh, no, that's right. It was, yeah, he came over in 2000. God damn it. 99, they had... Oh, hold on.
I feel like these old years are like just not even fair because it's so long ago.
No. It's because the punter was Dan Straczynski, but who was the kicker?
I can tell you. I
mean, no, it's
his name's John.
I don't know.
All right. Well, I have a consolation winner for you. What's the 2014 Raiders kicker's name?
2014 Raiders kicker? It's Sebastian Janikowski.
You got it.
Yeah, I mean, I know that one. Obviously, Janikowski's definitely.
I mean, I just typed that in randomly. I didn't even know that. I just typed in Raiders randomly and happened to get that. But you know.
Yeah, I mean, interesting thing about Sebastian Janikowski is crazy ass John Gruden one time famously used a first round draft pick on him. He's like the only kicker in recent memory that's been drafted in the first round. But he could have hit like a 63-yard field goal. I mean, that dude was built like a line. Pull up a picture of him. You'll see what he looks like. He's some insane-looking Russian dude that's like 350 pounds. Like, if he kicked you in there, like, he would decapitate you with a kick. Like, that man was like all muscle. And maybe a little fat.
All right, I'll give you one last easier one here to close it out. No, that's too easy. I can't do that. How about I was gonna do a Niners question, but that's not even fair. You're gonna get that.
Yeah, that is all right. How
about Washington starting quarterback in 2001? Oh fuck, you're gonna know this one too.
Oh, 2001. I just went through the whole list.
I know I typed it in and then I realized what I asked you because you told me about this the other day. All right, how about 2005?
2005. Oh, okay. That was Patrick Ramsey.
Close, but no.
Okay, so hold on. So 2005. So, okay. Well, they had Patrick Ramsey on the team because they drafted him in 2003. So he was on the team if he wasn't starting. So that would mean that. Oh, wait. You said Washington quarterback in 2005, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So was that? That was the year that they had Shane Matthews, Danny Werfel, and the other guy, wasn't it? Like they had like 3 guys start.
It was Jason Campbell and Mark Brunell.
In 2005? What am I thinking of? What the fuck year am I thinking of?
Patrick Ramsey and Tim Hasselbeck was 2003. And then
Jesus.
Danny,
okay,
you're thinking of 2002. Shane Matthews, Patrick. Yeah, you're thinking of 2002.
I'm just off on the years, but
but it does show you got it in there.
I think I just got a little bit of the CTE sometimes. You know, it happens. And there's too many shots to the head. You know, playing games of ball sports, but that's fine. Yeah, I mean, I was just off. I was thinking 2005 was when Patrick Ramsey was still running the show.
I mean, these kinds of questions are extremely difficult, though. So, like, the fact to even get you're like, oh, well, was it these three from 3 years before? Like, even if it's not the right answer, the 2005, like that still shows like how much you have, knowledge up there of the NFL. So, and the whole point of these was really to be like almost impossible, like like
Yeah.
pick random players from 1997 and tell me that, and so.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, in the future,
Yeah.
definitely come up with some more. I didn't really prepare for this. I haven't been feeling too good, so I didn't have a lot of time. But yeah, in the future, we plan to make this a little bit more of a
It was a solid
recurring segment.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Cool. I dig it. Next time I'll get more. Goddamn fucking J.R. Sweezy. Son of a bitch. It's like, the fucking J.R. Sweezy, like, he threw off my whole momentum. Like, is what it was. J.R. Sweezy came through and he fucked me. Just like the Seahawks fucked me in the 2013 NFC Championship. Still pissed about that. Fuck you, J.R. Sweezy. Russell Wilson. Where's Russ now?
Russ is not cooking in Seattle anymore, that's for sure.
He's cooking in the seats at Denver. Did you see that the Denver seats got burned up on fire? Did you see the fire in the Denver seats? Yeah. I'll have to put up a picture. But there was a meme that was hilarious. Literally, like a part of the upper deck in Vesco Field or Mile High or whatever the fuck Denver calls their field now, like got set on fire. I don't know exactly how it happened, but there's a meme out there where Pete Carroll is in the fucking Denver stands with a can of gasoline, fucking setting the Denver Stadium on fire.
Nice.
After the Russ train, I was like, that is excellent. That is excellent.
Hey, what's up, Commanders fans and Redskins fans and Washington Football Team fans? I know not all of us have gotten used to the new name yet, but I still got the Redskins shirt on, so it is what it is. A little bit of news this week. What?
I said it's acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, really, at this point, if you support the team, I mean, any name should be fine.
Absolutely.
I hate the people that just shit on the Commanders name. It's like,
right.
Yeah, none of us were that happy about it, but like, if you support the team, you got to do that. It's the way it goes.
Sure. Absolutely.
But not a whole lot of news this week. A couple of re-signings. We re-signed cornerback Danny Johnson.
Yep.
He appeared in 12 games, recording 20 tackles, 2 passes defensed, and a forced fumble in 2020. Johnson appeared in 14 games as a returner. He had a career-high 26 kick returns for 573 yards.
Yep.
And we also re-signed offensive tackle Cornelius Lucas to a 2-year contract worth $8.2 million per Ian Rappaport. He had appeared in 29 games over the past 2 seasons with Washington with 15 starts.
Yep. So both good signings. Danny Johnson projected to be probably the 3rd or 4th corner after St. Just or before St. Just, and Cornelius Lucas, obviously a solid swing tackle or occasional starter if you need him to step in. Both good moves. They also got former Carolina Panther defensive end Effie Obada.
Oh, look, another former Carolina Panther.
Yeah, he got in the words of the famous DJ Khaled, another one. He got another one. In 3 years with Carolina, he played in 42 games, had 62 tackles, 7.5 sacks, 4 pass breakups, 2 forced fumbles, and an interception. And the interception actually came in his first ever NFL game back in 2018. When Ron was coaching there, and helped him win NFC Player of the Year awards that week. And last year he played with the Bills, the Buffalo Bills. He finished the season with 3.5 sacks, 12 tackles. So pretty much just like a rotational backup player. Going to add some depth to the defensive line to help offset the loss of Settle and Ioannidis.
Right.
Interesting story about him is his backgrounds makes him kind of like an interesting guy to cheer for. Because he and his sister were homeless when they first arrived in London, and they bounced around to 10 different foster homes, and he actually didn't even play any football until I think he was in college. He hadn't even played any American football, so just the fact that he's even on an NFL roster, pretty impressive. So
yeah, definitely, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, I guess him and his sister were like, they grew up in Nigeria, and I guess they were like the victims of human trafficking, and they got like they ended up in yeah. So definitely, a guy that is, I'd say likable, and
yeah, I mean, I'm definitely rooting for his success. Then
And he came over and he said that, he's like, Ron is the only guy I'd want to play for. He's like so excited to be reunited with Ron. So hopefully he can do some good things for us.
Yeah. It does get a little annoying seeing these constant Carolina re-signs, but yeah.
But I like it when they work out, though. I mean, like if Curtis Samuel works out, that could be a good one. I mean, I like the thicker Joey Sly.
Hell yeah, the thicker. I like that. I like that name, the thicker, because he's fucking giant for a kicker.
Yeah, fucking plays outside linebacker if you need him to in a pinch. If Jamin Davis doesn't work out, just move Joey Sly to linebacker. And I think is that everybody they re-signed this week? I think so.
Yeah, that's pretty much all the major news. There's not a whole lot to cover this week. We were going to quickly go over, because there was something we saw last week, I think, about the Browns having 31 or 32 starting quarterbacks since
it'll be
32
with either Deshaun, or if Deshaun winds up not starting, Jacoby Brissett. So either way, they'll have a 32nd starter because it won't be Baker.
I remember I had at one point said, like, well, I'm pretty sure Washington has had close to the same, not quite as many, but a lot. So there's a list here we were quickly gonna cover here.
Join us on the journey.
Yeah, on the journey. And what's funny here too is I'm a Washington fan, and David's a Niners fan, so technically I should know more of these than him. But like there's at least a couple. Also, when you're kids, you don't pay attention as much, but like there's a couple names on here that I have no record. Like Brad Johnson, that's the starter from '99 to 2000. I remember him. I remember Gus Farrat from this is before 2000, but like this is like 96, 97. I remember him. But like Jeff George in 2000, 2001, I don't remember that dude at all.
Yeah, so like let's give it up to Brad Johnson. Brad Johnson, who retired in 2009, Super Bowl winner Brad Johnson with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, did hold a 17-10 record with Washington. That's going to be notable because a lot of guys that left Washington as quarterbacks didn't have a winning record. Jeff George was acquired. He was a big-time free agent acquisition. Over the course of 2 years, started 7 games, didn't do shit, 1-6. Lame-ass Jeff George. Had, $1 million arm, 10-cent brain. Tony Banks, starter in 2001 because Jeff George pretty much was, a quitter. And
Jeff George sounds like our Giovanni Carmazzi.
Yeah, exactly. Except
not as bad, because that was worse.
Except you guys didn't draft Jeff George. Jeff George got drafted by the Colts first overall back in the early 90s. So he was Jeff George. You guys got late in his career. Tony Banks, really his most notable stuff was starting with you guys. He started with the Cowboys a little bit too. Really didn't do shit beyond that. 2002, the era of Steve Spurrier started, and he loaded up on former Florida quarterbacks with Shane Matthews, who started 7 games, Danny Werfel, who started 4, and then first-round draft pick out of Tulane, Patrick Ramsey, starting 5. And
I definitely remember Patrick Ramsey. That's one I definitely remember, obviously.
Because he was a first-round pick. He was supposed to be, he was supposed to be
the shit. Oh, God. And terrible. Fucking terrible.
Over 24 career starts with Washington. Patrick Ramsey was 10-14 before being cut in 2005. That's why I thought 2005, bud. Because he got cut in 2005. I see. Tim Hasselbeck, 5 starts. Best known for being Matt Hasselbeck's brother, the former Seattle starter. 1-4 over 5 starts.
What's funny is I do remember him, even though he had the 5 starts. I actually do remember that. I remember when he was there.
You might remember too because he's an analyst now. You always see him on the sports shows, he's
that's true.
About
that's
the NFL.
True.
Yeah, so much more known as an analyst than a football player.
And from now on, I actually do know pretty much every other one on this list except for John Beck. That'd be the only one that I don't recognize.
John Beck, yeah. We'll get that. Yeah, so Mark Brunell started 33 games across 3 years, went 15-18, almost 500. Jason Campbell was the starter for 52 games, which is a huge amount of games for a Washington quarterback in this span. He started every game for the 2008 and 2009 seasons, which that's very rare in itself. However, his record was only 20-32 before he would be sent to the Raiders. Todd Collins started 3 games in 2007 as a spot starter and actually led the Redskins to a 3-0 record. and that got them into the playoffs in the 2007 season. He came in and finished them on a run to the playoffs. He's a former Chiefs backup. You probably know this guy, Donovan McNabb, former Eagle. Big time for you guys. Paid Donovan McNabb a huge amount of money to come over, and he was the quarterback for the first year of Mike Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan. So Kyle's offense couldn't even help Donovan. He started 13 games, went 5.
You mean Mike's offense, right?
Yeah.
Or was Kyle the offensive coordinator?
Kyle was the OC, yeah. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Donovan threw 14 touchdowns, 15 picks, but it was at a point in his career where he was pretty washed up, and he didn't play football again after that. Next season,
yeah, no shit, he shouldn't.
Yeah. Next year, they trotted out former Super Bowl appearing quarterback Rex Grossman, who a lot of people debate whether Rex Grossman might be the worst quarterback to ever start in a Super Bowl. Rex Grossman over 16 starts went 6-10. John Beck started 3 games. You mentioned not knowing him. He was 0-3.
Yep.
Nothing memorable there.
That's why I don't know him, probably.
Kyle Shanahan says he's a good coach. John Beck. Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying, and then we got the big 2012 Robert Griffin III, when all of us thought things were going to turn around and our decades of shit would end,
Finally
and then
like
it didn't.
Yeah.
And it didn't. And then Mike Shanahan just ruined his knee.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Shanahan, Dan Snyder, RG3 himself, or who I think there's multiple parties to blame.
I mean, yeah, there's numerous parties to blame there, but when the 22-year-old rookie quarterback wants to start on a fucked up knee, there needs to be somebody in that organization to say, no, you need to sit on the bench. Like, it doesn't matter if it's the playoffs or not. Like,
and I'll say this forever, like they had Kirk Cousins as their backup at the time. So it's not like you had somebody that couldn't come in and play. He didn't need to start that next game. I mean,
no, he did not. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that will forever piss me off. And then Kirk Cousins followed him after that and had the most starts of any Washington quarterback. Since '99.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what we've been, because we wanted to do something comparable with the Browns segment we did. By the way, if you didn't see it, go back and watch that, because we did similar comparing the Browns since they came into the league. That's why we did 99 for this as well. But yeah, Kirk Cousins started 57 games, went just a hair below 500 with 26-30-1 as his record. Colt McCoy started 7 games, and unfortunately did not have the same magic he had with Washington that he had with Arizona last year. He was 1-6.
No, not at all. And then we got a glimmer of hope with Alex Smith. 16 starts, 11-5 record until he got his just life fucking ruined and his leg broken. I mean, I'm being dramatic, but still, like that's just that whole thing, terrible. But even after his injury, and he comes back and he still managed to win. I think he was he 6-1 after he came back or something crazy like that?
Yeah. So he was 6-4 when he left originally, and then 5-1 when he came back.
5-1. Okay.
Yeah. That's what it was.
Which is just, amazing.
Yeah, so
he'll forever be one of my favorites.
Yeah, for sure. And he was 11-5 overall. So I think so far we've gone through, and him, Brad Johnson, and Todd Collins. And Todd Collins only had 3 starts, so you can't get too excited about that. Josh Johnson came in, started 3 games, went 1-2. This was the season where Alex got injured after the 10th game, so they had to basically fill in Josh Johnson and Mark Sanchez. Mark Sanchez, the best known for the butt fumble with the Jets.
Yep.
Yeah, he started 1 game with Washington, went 0-1, but he'll forever be known as a Washington starting quarterback, entrenched in the legacy. Case Keenum, starting 8 games, going 1-7. Kyle Allen made 4 starts. This next guy.
Fuck this next guy. Although I noticed you skipped somebody there on the list.
Did I?
Someone who sucks fucking big time. I mean,
wow! I didn't intend to.
I thought you did it on purpose. I'm sitting here laughing about it. I'm like, did you just skip it on purpose?
No. I guess I did forget Dwayne Haskins, unnotable 13 starts, where he was 3-10, and then released after a season and a half into his 4-year deal. Ron just had enough of that. He's like, man, this is just not working out.
Yeah, fuck this shit. Yeah. This kid does not care.
Yeah.
Like,
reports of that still going on in Pittsburgh.
I'm sure it is. I can't believe they picked him up.
Oh, what's
But
going
yeah,
on?
I thought you had I thought you glazed over that on purpose at
What's
first.
going on with the game? Who cares? I got TikTok to hit up.
I got my girlfriend needs to knock my tooth out. Was that
Yeah.
him? Was that? Am I
that
right?
was, I think.
That was him. Okay, I think it was.
Oh wow. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you left off of Kyle Allen, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and then look at this: Taylor Heineke, 15 starts, 7 and 8.
Yeah, he was almost.
That is better than every other quarterback on this list, except for Alex Smith, and I mean you can say Todd Collins, I guess.
Brad Johnson, baby. Brad Johnson.
And Brad
17
Johnson.
And 10.
So that's crazy, but yeah, and then Garrett Gilbert, which I don't even know why the fuck we need to mention that one.
And before that, you've got to go back to the days of like Darrell Williams and Mark Rippon and Joey T to get really consistent. And Joe Theismann was really the last guy that started a lot of games, because even when they were winning those Super Bowls, they were going between. It was Williams one year, Mark Rippon won one. So it's like they were always changing quarterbacks. It's like,
and then Doug Williams, it was very I mean, we've never really had a strong franchise quarterback. Even with Theismann and the people we did have, and Doug Williams, they were never. Doug Williams was not a franchise quarterback,
And the reason
Joe Theismann would probably be the biggest argument for one that we would have. And
Sonny
then
Jurgensen,
outside of him,
if you really want to go back.
If you want to go back that far, but man, I'm just, I'm 31, dude. I don't have any connection to that far back, so it just doesn't mean much to me.
Hopping in the DeLorean and going back.
Yeah, it's like, they used to be the Boston Braves in 1930. I don't give a shit what was happening in 1932, honestly. I'm glad they've existed that long, but I don't remember that.
There was a
it's like
there was a depression.
Even I can, like Joe Theismann in the 70s, and that I can watch videos on that and hear about it from parents and people who actually saw it. But when you get too far back, it just gets to a point where it's like it's hard to identify with it.
Yeah, that's true. You're not wrong. But
that's
the reason we brought that up is because I think that maybe now there's some hope. Maybe now with the arm talent and the ability and the potential upside of Wentz, this is potentially a guy with the youth on his side too, being 29 years old. He could be the starter for the next 6, 7, 8 seasons, 9 seasons. So I mean, if all works out, so.
I'm definitely not going to get that far into it. I mean, there's an upside, but I hope he sticks around if he's good. But given the past 2 decades, I don't really expect it to be the case. But I'd like to be optimistic and hope it'll turn out well. But until I see something happen after the last few years of getting overly optimistic, I am not letting that happen again.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take things as the way they are, and I hope he does well. And if he doesn't, I'm not going to be super bent out of shape about it.
Probably a solid approach, but I mean they should be pretty good. We'll have to see. I'm excited to see what happens in the draft at 11.
Yeah, definitely. To see where the team's going to be at after all the free agency in the draft. At that point, better to make more conclusions. But even then, last off season, I was super excited. Oh my God, the team looks so great. We're going to do so well, and then we fell flat. So I'm not letting that happen again.
It's a solid approach. Don't want to get yourself too excited, and always things like fucking that are unforeseen could happen too, which are always a pain in the ass.
Yep. So I've definitely learned it's better just to keep your expectations low and either be, we lost, fuck it, or you can be really excited because it turned out a lot better than you expected it to be. I don't know, cautious optimism. That's the way of the Washington fan. Cautious optimism. You don't just go all in on optimism because you're gonna get fucked. You gotta be careful with it. But yeah, that's all we have for you this week. Really wasn't a whole lot of news. That's why we decided to just cover this quarterback segment. I'm sure more stuff will develop over the next week, and we will cover that as well.
Absolutely.
And also remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content.
Everyone, thanks for joining us this week on the weekly Niners news update. Just want to go over some big re-signings and a couple former Niners that have agreed to deals on other teams. Not a whole lot of news beyond that this week, so just going to fill you in on the latest. So of our signings, the first notable signing is actually a new player that we picked up. We got safety George Odom on a 3-year deal, the former Indianapolis Colts safety, primarily a special teams player. But he's going to be coming over, and he is now the third player that we've added to improve our terrible special teams that we had last year.
Yeah, so, that's definitely needed.
yeah, and I mean he could end up filling in at safety if he needs to, because obviously Jaquiski Tart is still a free agent. There's still a possibility that the Niners might bring him back, but he has not signed anywhere as of right now. So we'll have to see. But he's more known for a special teams player. Obviously, we still have Jimmy Ward, and we have Talanoa Hufanga at safety also.
And he had a good season last year.
He definitely came on, as the season went
he's
on.
Definitely coming on. I wouldn't say great, but he's coming on. I expect to see good things out of him this next season.
Yeah, I really liked what I saw out of him and Ambry Thomas as the season progressed.
Yes,
I'd like to have
Ambry
seen
Thomas
more
as well.
I'd like to have seen more out of Diamador Lenore, but maybe we'll get to see him more next season.
You guys got so many guys with these awesome names, like Talafanga. What is it? I don't even.
Talanoa Hufanga.
Talanoa Hufanga, and then Diamador Lenore, or whatever. I like to say it differently, but a lot of fun names to say.
Yeah, they are fun. They are fun. Yeah, and they can play well. They've got a lot of talent, so hopefully they get more opportunities.
Definitely.
Also, in addition to that, we also, this is a signing that just recently, they've had it for a couple weeks, but it just recently got announced officially. They also signed a defensive lineman, Hassan Ridgway, the defensive tackle, away from the Eagles. He appeared in 17 games last year, 1 start, and finished with 20 tackles, 2 sacks, and a forced fumble. He also appeared in the Eagles' postseason game and picked up 1 tackle in that game as well. So he's definitely a depth signing. Obviously, we as we mentioned on last week's show, we lost DJ Jones and Javon Kinlaw, obviously coming back from injury. Although, from what Kinlaw is saying, Kinlaw is going to be coming back hungry as hell. I know I showed you what he said, and so that's more or less expected to be a depth signing. Obviously, we're expected to get Kinlaw back next season, and we'll have to see how he does. Obviously, I think he's a solid depth player that can add to our defensive line rotation. Also, some of the other moves we made. We brought back backup tight end Ross Dwelly on a 1-year contract, which he's Kittle's primary backup.
And, I'm glad to see him come back. He's been a good backup tight end for you guys. So.
Absolutely. I wish he got more opportunities when he was in there, and we used more 2 tight end sets and threw to him more. But we'll have to see. I'd like to see more of Charlie Warner too. I'd really like to see us use some more 3 tight end sets and just run off of that. Maybe next year. We'll have to see. We also brought back Jeff Wilson. He's officially re-signed, Jeff Wilson Jr. on a 1-year, $1.85 million contract with $530,000 guaranteed. So definitely a value for what he can bring to the table. I mean, Jeff Wilson's a guy that over the last couple seasons has stepped up pretty well for us. I mean, he was our leading rusher a couple years ago. I'm trying to remember what year it was. It was, it was last year. It was the prior year, 2020, when he had 600 yards and 7 touchdowns. Last year, he had 294 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he only played 9 games. So good to get him back. He's obviously going to add running back depth with Jermichael Hasty, who we re-signed, and Elijah Mitchell. And then we might even draft another running back as well now that we don't have Raheem Mostert, because Raheem went on to Miami, obviously.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. And it seems like the running back position... Yeah, it seems like the running back position being very, very deep is very important for the Niners and Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah,
that seems like one of his main. Even if you got 3-4 running backs, that seems like what they like. Because if anything goes wrong with one, and
we churn through backs. It seems like by the end of the season, they've all gotten playing time. Like these guys are usually getting banged up with that zone run scheme. They're all getting pretty tagged up. But So let's see here. I know I've got a list here. Oh yeah. We re-signed a lot of our own guys. Obviously, Hassan Ridgeway and George Odom are the two new players we got. But we also brought in another depth player, Dante Johnson, on a one-year deal. Dante appeared in 16 games last year, 3 starts. He ended up coming in after Josh Norman got pretty penalty happy late in the season. And
oh God, fucking Josh Norman.
Josh Norman's not coming back. We know that at this point. He was like a one year player, and now that we've got Charvarius Ward, we're gonna roll out there with Emmanuel Mosley and Charvarius Ward.
They're gonna say, go ahead and go.
It'll be interesting to see if Josh Norman does catch on anywhere, because he did lead the league in forced fumbles. But his coverage.
I imagine he's probably gonna get an opportunity somewhere. I would.
They should move him to safety with his. I mean, his coverage is just a liability at this point.
Yeah, it's like Landon Collins. Like once they moved him to linebacker, dude was phenomenal, and then now we don't have him anymore. But which is understandable given his cost. But still, players sometimes, if they're working out much better in a certain position, you should think about changing it. It seems like players in the NFL never want to do that though. They're like, no, I'm this player, I'm this position. That's what I do, and that's what they.
I mean, unless you're Taysom Hill gonna play some time.
Unless you're Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill's like, I don't care what position you want me to play. You want me on the football field? I'm gonna play.
Which I respect. The hell out of him. I'm starting to like him more now too. Maybe it just took Drew Brees and Sean Payton leaving for me to start.
Yeah, that definitely helped.
Although they're in the NFC, so I'm never hoping that the Saints do too well, so they can just fuck right off.
Of course.
But yeah, so Dante, what I like about him is he appeared in 16 games last year, and as we mentioned, availability is great. So I mean, we need all of that we can get. So I imagine he'll probably be like the 3rd or 4th corner. He might even end up being our new nickelback, because as we're going to mention here in a second with some of the losses, because we did have some losses as well. I won't get it. There's one more guy we re-signed before I get into the losses, actually. But Jordan Willis, defensive lineman. He ended up picking up a career-high 3 sacks last season. And he appeared in 17 games over the last 2 years with the Niners. And he's picked up 5.5 sacks over those 17 games, 1 forced fumble. And Jordan Willis, so Jordan Willis, obviously most known for the blocked punt in the divisional round against Green Bay that led the Niners on to the NFC Championship game. So another good defensive line signing, another good depth player for our defensive line rotation. So good to get him back.
Yeah, definitely.
And a guy that I think this is just a depth signing because you have the off-season 90-man roster. But we signed cornerback Darqueze Dennard, former first-round pick of the Bengals in 2014. We ended up picking him up late in the season last year. He appeared in 1 game, the Week 18 win over the Rams, and he played 21 defensive snaps and registered 1 tackle. So, again, I think with Charvarius Ward, Emmanuel Mosley, Dante Johnson, Ambry Thomas, Diamador Lenore, I think he's probably not going to make the roster. Maybe he's a practice squad guy. But you've got a 90-man off-season roster, so you got to bring guys in and have them compete for jobs. But I certainly wouldn't expect to. I mean, he's a former first-round pick, so maybe he catches on, but I don't know. Who knows? We cut HaHa Clinton Dix last year. I was excited to get HaHa Clinton Dix, and then we cut him in the preseason. And I was like, all right, well, that sucks. We never got to see him play in a real game. The Niners also signed defensive lineman Kerry Hyder to a 1-year deal. Kerry Hyder, of course, if you know that name, was with us in 2020. And then he spent 2021 in Seattle, where he appeared in 15 games, started 7. He had 33 tackles, 1.5 sacks. So not a great year in Seattle. The previous year in San Francisco with defensive line Chris Kosirak, who he'd worked with previously in Detroit, he got a career-high 8.5 sacks, which led the team in 2020. Of course, that was the year Bosa was out. So interesting to get him back. We did also lose Arden Key, who was, Arden Key came up with 6.5 sacks last year. It seemed like late in the season, every week we were talking about Arden Key getting a sack or a half sack. So he ended up signing with Jacksonville today on a 1-year, $7 million contract. So
Fucking Jacksonville, man.
Yeah, Jacksonville's loading up. So we get Kerry Hyder back after 1 year in Seattle, but we lose Arden Key. It would have been nice to get them both back, but hopefully Kerry Hyder can, reclaim that magic and get another 8.5 sack season. Of course, that season was when there was no Nick Bosa on the field, so he did get more opportunities. And we also lost Richie James Jr. to the Giants on a 1-year deal. Richie, of course, our 7th-round selection in 2018, mainly a kick returner for us. But he had caught 38 passes for 689 yards and 3 touchdowns throughout his 3 seasons. Of course, Richie sat out all last year with a knee injury. That 689 yards over 38 catches, it's good for an 18.1 yard per catch.
Jeez.
So Richie James, he didn't get a lot of opportunities as a receiver, but when we did throw to him, I mean, he made the best of it. Obviously, 2020 was his best year when he caught 23 passes, 394 yards, and a touchdown. And then we also lost, changing up our corner position, star nickel corner K'Wan Williams to the Denver Broncos on a 2-year, $7 million deal. He's been with us the last 5 years since Kyle's been the coach. Over the course of that time, he's recorded 4 picks, 17 defensed passes, 8 forced fumbles, 5 sacks, 19 tackles for loss, 9 quarterback hits, and also 301 tackles. K'Wan Williams, definitely a good player. Last year, he started 8 games, appeared in 14, and he had a pick, 4 passes defensed, 52 tackles, a sack, and a fumble forced. Gonna miss the Shark. That was his nickname, the Shark, our nickel corner. But that's what we were talking about earlier. There's a possibility that either Ambry Thomas or Dante Johnson ends up being our new nickel corner. So hopefully one of them can step up. Now, Dante Johnson's a guy that's got some versatility because he can play outside corner or he can play the slot. So I think that if he is called upon, he could be a guy that fills that position. And then also, he didn't play for us last year, but just because of his association with the Niners, you got to mention Solomon Thomas, our former number 3 overall pick in the famed 2017 draft when we could have gotten Mahomes. I know all the Niners fans always shit on that, but Solomon Thomas, which is understandable. I mean, Solomon Thomas for his Niners career had 5.5 sacks.
But that's that hindsight mentality. Well, in hindsight, well, no shit, but
Solomon Thomas was supposed to be a disruptive player, and he got played a lot of his time out of position, outside when he should have been played inside as a defensive lineman. The Raiders played him inside last year, and he actually had his best year when he had 3.5 sacks, which is a career high in one season. He had 5.5 sacks in 3 seasons with us. So, he signed with the Jets. So another former Niner going over to join Salah in New York. So hopefully good things happen for Solly. I like Solomon Thomas as a person. I know he never lived up to expectations, but certainly no reason to shit on him as a human being. I hope good things for him. And weird that he's going there and Richie James is going to the Giants. So New York team's taking a couple former Niners.
Yeah.
They need a lot of help though because they're terrible. But yeah, that's pretty much the bulk of it. I mean, the other thing that I just wanted to briefly touch on is the annual league meeting came up recently, and John Lynch was quoted as saying that it's not likely, after carrying him over for the last 3 seasons, despite being banged up, that Dee Ford will be returning. John Lynch was quoted as saying, "I don't see a lot of hope in him being a factor for us on the field moving forward. I think we've tried to be as patient as possible, and at no fault of D, he just ran into a bad situation with his back where he couldn't get healthy. So it does seem like we're finally going to move on from him. Obviously, I know we've discussed it on the show before. He's only appeared in I think it's 18 games ever. It's something like 18 games. But he's had 9.5 sacks in those 18 games, so he's been disruptive when he's been on the field, but he's hardly ever been on the field. Last year, limited to 6 games and 3 sacks. So good to get him, finally moved on. And originally when we acquired him, it was on a 5-year, $85.5 million deal. So we've paid him a lot of money to kind of just sit around. So we're going to end up recouping a little bit of that on the salary cap by releasing him. But that's notable. And also, as mentioned at the annual league meetings, it has been discussed from both John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan that the expectation is not for Jimmy Garoppolo to be released, at all. It's pretty much the plan to trade him or retain him on the roster. At least that's what we're hearing from both Kyle and John at this point. So, here we are on the 30th of March, and Jimmy's still on the roster. Obviously he's still not going to be able to throw until probably OTAs or maybe even training camp. But no trade in sight as far as that goes.
I think keeping him for another season could be beneficial for the team anyway. So, assuming they can rework his contract and not pay him as much if he's not the starting quarterback.
And that was the other thing I was going to just briefly mention. That was the other thing that they said, that there's a possibility that he can stay for the same for the same cap hit, which is, I believe, for that year. He was getting like an average of $28 million. I think his cap hit for next season is 23.5. I want to say. So, if he does stay as the backup, and it is projected that Trey would start, Jimmy, obviously, if he doesn't get that deal reworked, would be the highest paid backup in the NFL for sure. But It would be good to have some insurance. I would say that as a Niners fan, I feel more comfortable going into next season with Jimmy Garoppolo as our backup than Nate Sudfeld. Nothing against Nate, but we've seen Jimmy go on some runs and do some good things with this team. We have not seen anything of Nate Sudfeld other than preseason snaps. But that's all we wanted to touch on. Just not a whole lot of news this week. Next week we're going to be getting ready for the. We've got the draft in about a month. Obviously, the Niners don't draft until the 61st pick in the second round, because we don't have a first-round pick because of the Trey Lance trade. But, yeah, we'll talk about maybe some prospects for the Niners and also some prospects for the Washington Commanders. So stay in tune in for those segments as well. But that's all we have this week, Faithful. Thanks for joining us. Tune in next week.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
And that's going to do it this week for the Extra Point Show. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. If you're not already, make sure you like and subscribe to us here on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And we also have TikTok. Follow us there. And hope you like the show, everybody.
And if you're fans of the Niners, remember to check out the Niner News Update. And if you're fans of the Commanders, remember to check out the Commanders Countdown.
Absolutely.